Hi, everyone. This month's Alumni Spotlight is with young alum, Dr. Gary McManus Jr., class of 2009. So thank you, Gary, for being our March Alumni Spotlight. So I'm going to talk with him about his Alvernia experience and what he's doing now in his career. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor to be here.
Absolutely. So for starters, can you tell me what your degree is and if you have any other degrees besides your Alvernia one?
Sure. So from Alvernia, I got a Bachelor of Arts in Math Secondary Education. I got a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, and I had a minor in Physics. And then after that, I continued my education and got a Master's of Ed degree with a focus on school administration and educational leadership from Cabrini. And then I did my doctorate at Gwynedd Mercy in educational leadership as well, that I finished a little over a year ago.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
Done school forever.
Well, you certainly have a lot. So you were a double major here?
I was, yeah. So honestly, I really only went into the sciences because it was so math heavy. And then I found out that I really enjoyed it. So it paid off.
Wow. So at the time when you were a student here, what did you want to do with that degree? Did you know?
So I always thought I wanted to teach. So I came in as a math secondary ed major. But then I would hear horror stories about how people get to student teaching and they hate it. So I wanted to have a backup as well. So that's why I got the chemistry and the physics concentration also.
Wow, that's great. So what would you have done as a backup?
I probably would have worked in industry doing something with math and science. But luckily, I got into the classroom and I fell in love with it. And I couldn't see myself working in anything but education.
Okay. So what's your current employment then?
So currently, I supervise math for a large school district in Lower Bucks County, the Pennsbury School District, which I'm actually an alumni from. I graduated from there. And when this job popped up, I was in an assistant principal position elsewhere. But my mentor was retiring, and it was kind of an opportunity to throw my hat in the ring. So a full circle moment, and it's the best job I've ever had.
Wow, that's great to hear. How is it to be back at your alma mater? Is it weird?
It was a little weird in the beginning because I was supervising teachers that I had as a student, but we got over that pretty quick. And the department here is amazing, and the talent of teachers here is by far the best I've ever worked with.
So did you think you would be in a position like this when you were a student?
I always knew I would be in education. I don't know that I saw myself in administration then, because back then I'm like, want to be a teacher, want to, work with students every day. But we make plans and God laughs. So after teaching for about 6 years, I knew that I needed to do something else. I felt like I hit a ceiling, and that's when I went into administration.
Okay. So what kind of challenges has, unfortunately, COVID presented to you right now in your position?
So I think the one takeaway from this year is that the value of face-to-face direct instruction is you cannot put a price on that. And that is for all students K through 12. So I think there is a new appreciation for teachers, and long overdue, and rightfully so. But these teachers are working harder than they've ever worked before. They're not batting an eye, they're pushing forward. And I've been really inspired by the team that I work with in that regard. So it's been a challenge, but also the takeaway has been kind of a silver lining.
Wow, that's great to hear that you guys are, understanding that appreciation for the face-to-face. I'm sure we're all, zoomed out.
Yeah, for sure.
So are you guys virtual right now?
So at the moment, we are hybrid. We started the year fully remote, and then brought students back little by little. And then light at the end of the tunnel, in April, all students will have the opportunity to be back every day, 4 days a week, which can't wait till these buildings come more alive with that.
So glad to hear that. I'm sure it's quiet around there without them.
It's different, that's for sure.
What makes you most passionate about the work that you're doing?
I think I always go back to, like, I don't have to do this, I get to do this. And I think when you go into education with that mindset, it's such a blessing to be able to do that. So that's kind of always been my mindset throughout my career. So that's kind of what keeps me focused, and also not on my own goals, but like at the end of the day, what we do is we want to nurture the lives of the students in our classrooms. So I kind of think of it as like education is like turning a mirror into a window. Like you can see your reflection in the window, but you can also see past it. Whereas a mirror, you only see your reflection. So I think if we can do that for students for their time in front of us, I think that's the greatest gift we can give them.
Absolutely. And it's so important that you have that mentality too, because you see it in such a different way, and it's not just a job for you.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I like live and breathe education, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. And I would say like one of my overall goals is to kind of democratize mathematics, because sometimes it can be kind of a gatekeeper to other opportunities. So if we can lower those gates and provide equitable math instruction for all students, we can provide higher level STEM opportunities and things like that as they move forward in their educational career and path.
And it's so important that we have like dedicated and passionate people like you in this field, because it's so needed. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
So do you have any current service work that you're doing either at Alvernia or within your community?
So since I left my traditional role teaching, I work with a group of like 5 gentlemen from the city of Philadelphia who want to pursue a career in a STEM activity. And this is the second group of students that I'm working with. And we get together once a month and we just talk about our goals and how we're going to meet these goals. And the first group of students that I worked with, they are all now graduated, and they are all either in post-secondary school in a STEM field, or they're working in a STEM field. So it was really great to see that group of students who were all the first in their families to go to college to take that opportunity and grow. So that's something I do. It also keeps it fresh for me. I think that's why we get into education. So I'm not teaching right now, but that's my way to kind of stay connected.
That's good. And I'm sure it's easier then to relate to your teachers as well, because you're doing that.
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
So just kind of talking a little more about Alvernia and your time here. So what impact has your Alvernia degree had on your career thus far?
So I would say it really was the gateway to where I am now. I mean, I started at Alvernia in STEM majors, and then I took that and morphed it into the field of education. And then in the field of education, I really found my niche with math. And I get to work with students and administrators and parents and teachers. And that really is like the dream job for me, working with all these different people with the one common goal of, like I said, democratizing math for all of our students, which in the past could be a bit of a gatekeeper. But really, my career at Alvernia started that, because from there, with that degree, I started teaching, and then the last 12 years are history.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. So what was your involvement when you were on campus, when you were a student here?
So when I was a student there, I was highly involved in the math and science program. I was in the Science Association. I ended being the president of the Science Association, which I know is still a very active club on campus. I was also heavily involved in the honors program and the honors club. I was the president of that as well. And those were my two kind of like academic niches. And then I was also an RA for 3 years, which was so much fun. Made lifelong friends through doing that. And yeah, just I have so many fond memories of that.
Do you still keep in touch with anyone that was an RA at the time too?
I do. I mean, all of my friends from college were in that group because once you start doing that, you spend so much time together, and they're my best friends to this day.
And I'm sure you have the best stories of being an RA too.
Oh yeah, we have some doozies.
So now I know this next question can be tough to pick, but what do you have like a favorite memory from campus?
I mean, graduation weekend was pretty epic. But honestly, I think some of my fondest memories are when they would bring the student leaders back early and we would do kind of like workshops and activities and just being with each other before the school year started. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, so I would say that.
That's good. And that's a great way to get to know everyone too and grow closer.
Yep.
All right. So next question, kind of along the same lines. Do you have a favorite tradition from Alvernia?
Favorite tradition. I'm a big believer in coming back as much as possible. So I love Margaritaville, and all my friends, we like to come back for that as much as we can. The last one I went to, though, it was interesting because it was like, wow, I don't know a lot of these people, which is just a sign of, getting older. So yeah, that's one tradition that sticks out to me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to at some point having that come back.
Yep, absolutely.
And then this is kind of like a personal question. Can you tell me an interesting fact about yourself?
An interesting fact about myself. I think I would like to consider myself like someone who does a lot of things that don't really necessarily go together. Like I love to cook and bake. I love education. I love to do karaoke, or should I say karaoke? So I'm kind of that. If that's an interesting fact, I'm not sure. But I like to have my hand in a lot of different pots. I feel like it makes life interesting.
I'm liking the karaoke thing. You should coin that. That's your thing.
I should take that show on the road, or at least weekends.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I heard you say cooking and baking. So do you have like a favorite thing that you love to make, or that's like your staple?
So everyone in my life would probably say cupcakes, and I would agree with them on that. I had a small business that I ran out of my condo when I was a teacher. And then as I got more involved with my career, that kind of fell to the wayside. But I still do it as a passion project, and like to bake for my friends and family and those people that I love.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So my final question for you is, what's one piece of advice that you wish you had known when you were a current student here that you wish you could tell a current student now?
So I would say that college, like if you're a freshman walking in on your first day of school, college is the opportunity for you to reinvent yourself and be whoever you want to be. And to take every opportunity and give it the respect it deserves. I truly mean that. Get your feet wet with everything, try everything, do everything possible in those 4 years so that you have a wealth of experiences to go off of. And if you start doing that in college, you're just going to build that habit for the future. So I would, yeah, without a doubt.
That is wonderful. Thank you, Gary, so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I mean, this was fantastic. It was great getting to know you, and I hope all of you enjoy this interview as well. So thank you for.
Can I give a shout out real quick?
Absolutely.
All right, so I have to give a shout out to Residence Life, the best people I've ever worked with, and also to all the math and science faculty You guys are awesome, especially Dr. Chinney and Dr. Williams, honors program. Love you all. Thank you.